Right. How you guys doing out there in internet land? I'm here with my brother Tom Hartman, and I'm Peter Hartman here for another installment of Jumpstart Live, where we're going to talk about how to help you build, create, learn, earn, and grow. Tom, you have on your heart, you said we have to talk about cryptocurrencies today. But before we get to that, actually on that same topic, we had some questions in the Telegram group that you answered, and I just wanted you to run by your answers and maybe add to it if there was something more to it.
Well, I should preface this by saying that Bitcoin is dead, and now we're going to be focusing on Britcoin, which seems to be what the central bank in Britain is going to be calling their digital currency. So I don't know how anything is going to compete with a pun name like that.
So we had two questions. We had a few questions in the Telegram group. If you don't know this, Jumpstart Live is on Telegram. We do we're you can expect voice chats and also text chats. People have asked questions. Three questions here. The first is, what is the easiest way to describe cryptocurrency? Do you want to knock that out now?
I'm sure. I mean, the easiest way to describe currency is actually that's part of the conversation I want to be having today, which is an elaboration of that idea. In the chat, I said something along the lines of that it's a way of turning something, making it a unique digital thing. But that's very hard for people to understand. It's sort of like eh, we live on the internet space, right? To us, different websites and different platforms are places that we go to in the same way that we might go down to go downtown in order to shop at some stores, and or go to the movies in order to watch a movie. That to me is what the online space is like. But for a lot of people, it's not, and I could understand that because everything, you go on Netflix and it exists on my computer, on your computer, on everyone. So it's like, well, who cares? You download a movie, it's copied everywhere. You listen to a song, it's copied everywhere. It's not unique. But cryptocurrencies is basically a way of making something unique online that exists only in one location. That's a very layman's term description of it.
All right, so the easiest way to describe cryptocurrency, or that is that tokenization?
So it is tokenization. I mean, we're stepping on the toes on the things I want to be talking about later on, which is
All right.
exactly this
So
sort of
I'll say the three questions, and then you'll mix them into what you want to talk about here today.
sounds
So
good.
there's, and if you want to know what he answered in the group, you can go and join the Telegram group, and you can see his answers there. Just become a patron on Patreon, patreon.com/happy for a change. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to us. You get Tom and Peter in your pocket, and a lot
And
more.
it's been fun so far. People have been chatting. It's getting there.
It's getting there. What is the easiest way to describe cryptocurrency? Why is Bitcoin doing so much better than others? Why did Tom start getting interested in Bitcoin? And then why is it impossible to hack or alter? So again, if you want the answers to all those questions, he wrote it there, but we'll tie them into what you're saying here to give people maybe a fuller picture of what you want to talk about. And you also want to talk about cryptocurrencies for business. So I'm very interested in why you wanted to say that, because you mentioned it's kind of tongue in cheek. And so let's
Yeah.
see what you have to say.
Yeah, well, it's been today was really like when I had that epiphany where it's been a challenge for me to try to navigate the cryptocurrency space. You see all these tokens, you hear about Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin and Keanu Coin and Happy Coin and whatever, and you're like, well, what are these things? Like, what are they doing? Um, you hear it in the context that people buy them at a certain price and it goes up, and then you could sell it and make money. But that's obviously not the purpose of it, right? You don't ask your employer to pay you in dollars because you expect that the dollars will go up in value over the next 6 months, and then you'll sell it at a 400% profit. So, like, on earth is happening here? And it's sort of it's just like anything else. It's a space where you have to be using the actual tokens, like see what the tokens are beyond just flipping them for more money. See what their use cases are. And so, but what's been bothering me is that I wasn't able to get this idea of like it's a cryptocurrency, yeah, okay, sort of encrypted currency. Uh, what is this? What is this? How can I describe it? How should I imagine it in my own mind? And then finally, it clicked. I was watching this Real Vision video that we'll probably take a look at in a little bit, where I realized, it's the exact same problem that we had with social media. Social media, when the rise of social media in the mid 2000s all the way up to around 2011, 2012, uh, people just called it social media. Like, social media doesn't mean anything, right? Social media was a way of the news and pundits to try to describe what was going on. They're like, well, they're putting out like audio and video and text just like we do in the publishing world, broadcasting world, and media world. But they're doing it on an individual level and they're talking about it. So it's like a social thing. So it's like a social media, which is silly because it's like calling uh, letters paper media and calling acting on plays
Well,
theater
there's print
media.
media. There's print media,
Well, they call it print media because they're trying to segment things in terms of
the
the
legacy
medium that
system.
it's in. Like media is the
Mm.
medium in which communication is occurring. But social media doesn't tell you that the medium in which communication is happening is the internet. Like that's not what that's telling you. Social media is just some weird bastardization of a term that's stuck, and that's what we call it. Sort of like calling things bitcoins. Oh, it's a coin, like a currency, and it's a bit, which means like computer stuff, like Bitcoin or cyberspace. It's a space in a cyber way, so it's a cyberspace. It's just a word that's stuck.
Let me pause you for a quick second. There's a little bit of a lag. So, do you have anything open on your computer that you can close, or
Sure. 1 second.
talking about cryptos? We're talking about name. Yeah, social media. Kind of a strange word to be using there. Doesn't really tell the whole story. Doesn't tell the whole picture. It'll be funny to hear your take on cryptocurrencies for business and what you can apply that's a little different.
Yeah. So I I taught a very successful social media for business course um, for about 8 years, for let's say 2000 to 2010 on, and what was great about it is that you put social media. I taught a number of courses: WordPress, how to build WordPress themes, how to code PHP, how to do search engine optimization for Google or whatever. None of them were as popular as social media for business. One, because there's not a lot of people offering that course, and two, because when you go social media, this powerful force that is invading our existence for business, and business people go, that's for me, and then they have all this disposable money that they have to send people for training. They want to learn the space, and so it was by far the most popular course I ever taught. And what was interesting is that people would come in and right off the bat they would have this idea. Okay, so I get that a lot of people are on Facebook, right? People are using Facebook. A lot of people are over there. So how do I insert my way into that space and sell them my product? Like, how do I do that? You're going to teach me how to do that, right? And so the beginning, the first quarter of every class was about teaching them that although I honeypotted them with the term social media for business, that it was as silly as saying a party for business. Oh, a house party for business. House parties are happening all across the world. How can you get your brand inside the next household? Like that's ridiculous. Like anyone knows if someone's there having a party, if you come up and you go, "Hey, I got this to sell you," they're like, "Get the hell out of here." And so what you say that, and then what the business owner says is, "Okay, so I have to camouflage myself as like an actual participant, and then find some way of selling my thing." And you go, "You're
or get a
completely."
participant to sell it for me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is completely beside the point. It's like, well, sure, I guess you could try to become really good at lying and pretending to be, but already you're coming as a brand. People know who you are. People know where you're coming from. You're trying to sell something. So then they go, okay, so we'll have Susie, who works in the communications department. She'll create an account, like, a brand account under her name. She's Susie from whatever so and so company, and she's going to talk, and people are going to talk to her, have this personal connection. And you go, you're trying to backdoor your way in and sneak your way in and con your way in into the space. What you need to do is understand what the space is. What is the space trying to solve? Well, the social media space was trying to solve the same sort of things that the internet space was trying to solve. It's trying to ease communication. It's trying to make it easier for me to transmit my ideas and my creativity to the outside world, to expose it. We talked about in our last video this idea of exposing something to a network in order to see what its value is. If I make a piece of art at home and I never show it to anybody, it's worth just what I bought for it or what it's worth for me. I expose that to Facebook Marketplace. I expose that to Etsy. I expose that to different types of networks, and all of a sudden the network will tell me what people are willing to pay for that. And so the internet did this when it first started, right? It allowed for information that you can only really get in a library or from some written down source or from school. You can put up this information on there and then people can access it, right? But the internet, when it first started, was a web 1.0 creation. It's just, I'm the creator, I put this out there and it goes out. Sort of like when you went to go see a movie, you saw the movie and that was the movie. So it was this one-way communication. When social media came, what that was really that the technology evolved to allow for two-way communication, right? It allowed for the someone to create a piece of content online, and then someone could comment on it. So all of a sudden, that comment was integrating the content that was put out there, and comment was a new piece of content. Now someone could respond to that. Even the author of the whatever article you're on, whatever blog you're on, recipe creator, movie creator, whatever, can respond to it. So all of a sudden you have this two-way communication, and that two-way communication had the effect of having the people consuming the content, the being part of the creation of it, because other people who would write an article afterwards would use all the information that they got from the interactions that they got from the comments before. You had this
Hmm.
feedback mechanism that caused an explosion of the amount of content online, the diversity and usefulness of the content online, plus people were communities were starting to form where you could have a blog and a whole healthy comment section. Like, there are people now who are part of blogs where they're like, I'm one of 150 people, and when an article comes out, we comment on it. We have this whole vernacular shorthand, and we can have this conversation with the creator, and we're part of the creation of the site. Same thing with podcasters and their
And that's
and their,
Web
their
2.0.
fans.
Web 2.0.
2.0 is just two-way communication. All right. So once you get rid of the names internet, cyberspace, digital, whatever, social media, Web 2.0, we're just talking about the evolution of communication, and productivity. So enters cryptocurrency. So we get cryptocurrencies and we're thinking, oh, cryptocurrency, this is something completely new. I'm not sure what it is. It's cryptocurrency. It's encrypted currencies. What is this about? And the epiphany that hit me is that we're making the same mistake that we made with social media. Forget the name. The crypto part of cryptocurrency, all it means is that we can prove that this thing is unique and belongs to you. In the same way that when you recorded a song and an album that was published by a music label, you can prove that that album was made by Peter and there's only 100,000 copies of this album. That's what made it valuable, right? If there was
Just like the
10 billion.
certificates for art. You buy the piece of art, you get a certificate that proves that this belongs to you and that this is authentic. Without that certificate, that art could be anything. It could be a copy. It could be
Exactly.
not certainly not worth what people expect it to be worth.
But in the digital space, we didn't have a way of verifying it. You sort of have to take it
Hmm.
at their word, and it, what are you supposed to do? It's so easily copyable.
Yeah.
And so the crypto part of cryptocurrency just means that we can it's unique, and we can say that for sure Peter owns this, or Peter created it, whatever it was. The origin, the verification is secured. That's the crypto part. It's not about privacy. We actually don't really care about privacy, even though Bitcoin came about because we want private money. That's not why it's around. That's not why it's gained popularity. It's because the technology underlying it created this. This is answering that question inside of our Telegram group. Is like, um, uh, why did Bitcoin like fire up my mind, and why is Bitcoin the most popular? Is
And why is it
because, or
impossible to alter or hack?
well,
That's
it's
one of the
impossible to
questions.
alter and hack because the code is open source. And there's tons of videos that talk about the difficulties in hacking it. Look, Bitcoin can be hacked, but it's difficult and it would take down the network. Basically, to hack it, you'd have to destroy what Bitcoin is. But that aside, um, Bitcoin introduced this new technology. It's like, oh, we created a way that something can be unique. That's why it's so popular. So
And that's why
the
that's why you got interested in it.
well, I got interested in it because of the second part. I got this idea that it's a unique thing. Once I wrap my head around it, then I go, what's this currency part? Well, currency, people don't even know what currency is, right?
That's right.
We talk to someone and they think currency is money, right?
Yeah.
Currency is not money, right? Currency, the paper that we transfer around, or even the digital dollars that you have within your account, all that is saying is that it represents it's basically, currency is something that you can provide to somebody and it'll settle your debt, settle a debt. So it means that if if Tom owes Peter $20 and I give you a $20 bill, legally you have to accept that $20 bill as a settlement of debt, right? So let's say I owe you $20 because you performed a task for me. I can pay you back in rupees. I can pay you back in lumber. I have to pay you back. I mean, I can if you accept it, but if I pay you back with a $20 bill, you have to accept that. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
it's the whole point is that it's backed by the government. The government says if you do not accept this, you're in trouble. You can go to court. You can go to jail. All that sort of thing. All right.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
you
what
might
currency.
you might say, "Hey, I don't want to. I gave you $20, but I want 20 hours back, or I want an hour of your work." You'll no, I don't want to
Nope.
give you an hour of my work. I'm going to give you this.
Exactly.
You're like, this is our legal tender.
Exactly. And so then the gold bugs will say, well, gold is real money because it's the currency that you have is supposed to represent something else that a physical asset. And they're like half right. What it really is that money is an asset. Money is something that's valuable in and of itself. A fish, a chair, a song, an idea. It's something that in of itself is valuable. The only reason we use currency is that it's hard to trade fish for everything that you need. You have to go find people who want fish, store the fish, and all that sort of thing. So currency is a proxy for that. So cryptocurrencies is this idea of a unique and verifiable um, money, like an asset. The thing is, it doesn't have to be money like dollars. It could be anything. It could be your
It's a
time, your work.
proxy.
It could be exactly. It could be something that you created. It could be something you've grown. The cryptocurrency. Reason why there's a whole revolution in the space right now is that we have a way now of turning things that exist in the physical world or abstractly into a digital thing that could be traded in the same way that I can pick up a book and give it to you and sell it to you.
We got a comment here by Stephanie Bouchard who says, "It's like a contract of exchange with a value attached to it."
That's
Jean.
exactly right. That's exactly right. In the same way that if I want to sell you my house, I could give you a deed and sell you that deed. I don't have to physically move the house. I give you the deed. That now exists in a digital space. But for anything, literally anything can be tokenized. You don't have to wait for some third party entity to do it. You can tokenize everything in your house if you wanted to and convert that into something. And there's going to be either you can use a cryptocurrency that exists already. There's
Mhm.
cryptocurrencies that allow you to tokenize your labor, and cryptocurrencies that allow you to tokenize your music and your art, or tokenize spare stuff that you have in your house. Renting out your car, you could tokenize your car. There's all kinds of ways you could tokenize your debt, tokenize your revenues. Anything can be tokenized. You can either use a cryptocurrency that exists already, which is why there's thousands of cryptocurrencies,
Mhm.
all experiment in trying to find what's the right formula for representing this class of asset in a digital space, or you can create your own token. And now that's difficult. You need to have programming knowledge behind that, but that's will become easier and easier and easier. So once that hit me, I was like, oh, that cryptocurrency, that it's a misnomer. It's the term that we're misusing. Then I realized it's exactly the same thing as like social media and internet. Now, why am I mentioning this? We've talked about before this idea of riding trends, that you need to be able to that the best way of navigating the future is understanding the technological trends that are there. So I was going to show you actually before we jump to that, I'm going to show you this a quick clip from a video from Real Vision, basically this segment that really talked about just how this idea of tokenization and blockchain and cryptocurrencies and all that sort of concretizes into something a little bit more understandable. So I'll just play you this clip here, and you'll let me know what you think.
Just before you do that, just to remind people, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the comment stuff. If you're watching this on Facebook, just so you know, we're on YouTube. So go over to youtube.com/happy for a change. You can become a subscriber over there. It really helps us out. And we're also on Twitch. And if you want to follow us there, that's pretty cool. But thank you for watching wherever you are. We're about to watch a clip from Real Vision, realvision.com. Let's cue it up here. You ready, Tom?
Yeah, let's hear it.
On line with that too, it's amazing how the incentive structures are set up that I think really start to bring back a lot of behaviors that were happening across creators, to your point, like far and wide across this entire ecosystem. So one is really being able to like encourage and build status within communities themselves. So right now we see things are very black and white when people are building communities or building subscription products, right? There's really kind of one tier. You're a subscriber or you're not. And that value to you as a subscriber is you usually get content, right? Whether you're subscribing to a Netflix or subscribing to an Apple News or, subscribing to a New York Times or whatever it may be, the transactional layer is really content. And that's a dangerous single point of failure, I think, for many businesses, because it's not really playing on the relationship that the brand itself has with the community. It's leaning too heavily on that interstitial layer, which is content. And when content changes or not enough comes in, or it starts to become something that's not very kind of interesting for that consumer, they could easily drop. What we're starting to bring in this Web3 environment is people building identities and status within the communities themselves. So you really start to think about subscriptions, not just as I'm a subscriber and I get access, but you start to tier them. Like, what if there's a world where either a large media company or a brand, decides that, yes, we have a subscription tier where you could get content, but we're creating a founders tier. And that founders tier is going to be 100 basically membership tokens that we are going to sell. And those membership tokens come with a lot of things. Maybe they come with an NFT. They come with exclusive chats that you could have with the executives. They come with the ability to curate, your own community, but you own that, right? So for the first time, a subscription is something that you actually could own and transact on versus something that is just owned by the entity itself. And why that's really amazing is if there's 100 founder tokens in, let's say, Disney, which is an amazing brand, and by getting that, you get access and benefits to all of these things that are only available to the ownership tier. And Disney says, every single token that we sell, right, we get X%, but every token that is resold, we collect 5 or 10% royalties on that resell.
All right. So just to summarize what he's saying over there. So he's saying there's he's using the example of Disney as how value can be unlocked. So he's saying before, all Disney could do was output content, and you can watch on content if you wanted to. And if there was a community created, well, that community was really created through just their own volition, just their own participation, and they weren't able to extract any value out of that other than just watching the content. But if they were, Disney was able to sell subscriptions, and those subscriptions were tokenized, then you could have the benefit of consuming the content. And because, let's say, there's a limited number of these tokens, subscription tokens, people can later on buy that token from you so that they can access this content. And maybe that came with certain other perks. And he's saying even at the top tier, a founders tier, where let's say Disney sells 100 tokens at $5 million a piece. And if you buy one of these tokens, you're not just a subscriber to the content. You now are part of the meetings. You're part of the development of the company. You're part of whatever they might decide they want to do. You're integral in the development of the company. And better than that, so Disney gets this influx of cash from the people who bought $500 million worth of tokens, founder tokens. But later on, if I want to sell that token, let's say because of my participation, because of all our participation, now the company is worth more. It has a better footprint in their domain. Now those tokens might not be worth $5 million anymore. It might be worth $6 million, and I could sell that to somebody and get my $5 million back plus a profit. And because of how the token is made, automatically 10% of that can be sent back to Disney so that they see their cut. So if that token is sold now for the next 50 years, Disney's getting a cut on that. They're getting $250,000 a pop.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's not only that. Like, I imagine, I'm throwing it out there, but I imagine you also be able to use that token as collateral. Like, it's like owning a house or owning a car. You might not need to sell this token in order to get the value beyond what the token gives you. Holding it itself would be an asset. It would be something that you can use to borrow money with.
Exactly. And he's using an example here for Disney, but there's no reason why it needs to be a large company. It can go all the way down to a kid in a school who decides he's going to start a school newspaper, and he's going to create tokens that represent that. So instead of having to get a loan somewhere and going into debt and paying interest and all that sort of thing in order to build something that might fail, he can then go, this is the idea that I have. Um, Issue tokens for this. The people in the community can buy these tokens, right? Oh, we want to support Johnny on his endeavor to make this in his high school. That money then becomes seed money for him to do his thing. He gets the equipment, he gets the team together, builds a newspaper, and now a certain percentage of the revenue of that company, or even 100% of the revenue of that company, is divided amongst all the token holders every month.
So if Stephanie, let's say, wants to start a business or become an artist or something like that, and she issues tokens, and then that people who buy the tokens, who believe in what she's doing, who want to support what she's doing, recognize the value, then we buy a token, and then we can get a percentage. It's like kind of like buying stocks in Stephanie, and then getting a return on that investment.
But it could also be not. Let's say you take out money out of the issue. Let's say if that's the stake to people, it could be that you get rights, like you get management rights. You get you can be part of how. So the guy, he gives an example of, let's say, a town who they use a tokenization process to fund a news organization that's just for their town. Now, instead of
Mhm.
that, the news organizations that are around right now that just take the talking points from the national news in order to spoon feed it again to their local constituents, maybe now the town owns, 20% of the town, 30% of the town are funding through this tokenization process the news, and they have to say, they get to tell the journalists, I want you to go find out about the 5G tower that's going to be built over here. I want you to go find out about the pollution that company, some factory is making over there. I want you to find
Mhm.
out about what's going on with the administration board and at the city council or whatever it is. And the news has now an incentive, not just an incentive, a mandate to do these things that the token holders join together to do. I mean, it's its own company; it has its own thing, but it's beholden to the people who own the tokens. And then the value of those tokens increase because a limited supply of them. The value of those tokens increase over time as that news organization gets better and better. And if it doesn't get better and better, well, then it fades, and you move on to the next idea. It really unlocks all kinds of ideas. My favorite one, Peter, that I mentioned inside the Telegram group, I'll just say this, is the idea of the student. I love the idea of the student who doesn't need to take out a loan in order to go to school, right? I'm not saying that he has to. This is not like where you have to set up a GoFundMe, or you have to have a whole pitch idea and Kickstarter and how you're going to roll it out and all your milestones all planned. The kid could just be like, I'm just going to tokenize myself. I don't have any details yet, and we'll figure it out as we go along. The token gives you access to have this communication with me, and for us to decide what we'll do. And so, let's say you want to, your family wants to fund five of the kids, right? Five of the kids in the family, and a few of the cousins or whatever. And as they grow up, the tokens that you have associated with that person, those kids, may they go up in value, and other people go, oh, I'd like to have a little piece of Jimmy over there. He's doing a great job, and then you sell your thing that you got for $1 or whatever, $100, whatever you decided to finance a kid with. Now it's worth $1,000 because of how well it's doing and the dividends that the thing pays off. And Jimmy gets a part of the sale back to help fund him a little bit further on. It's this unbelievable unlocking of creativity, and that's one of like 100,000 ideas that are floating out there for how to use this new technology of tokenization and blockchain in order to unlock productivity. Now, I'm going to let you speak, but I just want to this tagline of cryptocurrencies for business. What makes me laugh is that I know that if I set up a course today called Cryptocurrencies for Business, and I sold it for $1,000 a head, my door would be knocked down. Business would okay, tell me how do I use cryptocurrencies for business? And
That's right.
I would have to do the same thing I did for social media. The first quarter, tell them you don't use cryptocurrencies for business. You understand what cryptocurrencies is, and if you understand that, then you want to use it. It's like telephone for business. Do you want to speak to people easier and quicker for low cost? Then use it. That's what it is. It's not about, anyways. So that was a nice
uh,
epiphany I had today.
there's a lot that can be expressed when it comes to tokenization to crypto and crypto technologies. Getting a vision, a clearer picture of what this world means is vital. It's important. I mean, this is not part of our motivation and part of Tom's motivation is that there are people on YouTube, people on the internet who are trying to teach you that crypto for business in that old way, who are trying to do it the old way using legacy systems and not truly understanding the potential that's there. And we want to be a voice for you that's providing you a clearer picture of what's to come so that you can benefit from it, right? Knowledge, foresight is power, and it will help you to dominate as we move forward. So we're going to be talking more about cryptocurrencies and more of the possibilities. We're going to be shooting the breeze, answering all your questions. You can join us in Jumpstart Live on Telegram group. It's a Telegram audio and text group. You can text chat us. We can do voice chats. It's totally non-committal, except you have to get that link. Actually, what we'll do, inspired by this no bullshit mission that we're on here, I'm going to put a link under this video that will give 10 people access to our group for free for now. All right, so you'll be able to join with this link. It'll only work for 10 people, so I can set that limited amount, and you can join us. So if you want to test out the waters and see if you like it before you start paying $5 a month for it, the link will be down below. What do you think, Tom?
This sounds good to me.
All right, you get a Telegram link. You get a Telegram link. You get it. Just 10 of you, not all of you.
All right, we have to wrap this up soon, but I'm trying to give myself the challenge. I want to show a chart every once in a while on the show because I want people to start learning how to read charts. So I just want to show something just to wet people's whistle on
All right,
that
wet
this
whistle.
cryptocurrency is another phase, just like social media, just like the internet. Now, today, if you owned the blue chip stocks, or what's called the Fangman stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Netflix, these platforms that take advantage not just of social media, but all that social media is communication online. These stocks are the best performance stocks we have right now, the most consistent. Now, if you take a look, let me pull up a chart here for you.
And I'll get that link for you folks. In fact, I'll post it in the comment section here, and I think people will get it. And 10 people. So if you don't have the money to spare, you don't want to do that, don't worry about it. We got you this link. Let me make it a limited time link. Let's set that to 10 people. You want to offer it to 10 people, Tom?
Let's do that.
10. And we'll put a limit. We'll limit it to in the next. You know what? Let's do no limit. Create that link. Okay, Tom, let's do your thing. I can do this while we show this chart.
Let's check it out. So if we take a look over here, what we'll see on this beautiful chart, everything for me is dark because I'm a programmer and you got to look at a dark screen if you do that for hours. And so what we're seeing here at the you can see that here. What we can see are two charts over here. All right, so let's take a look at 2000, the tech bubble. All right. So in the tech boom of the 90s, so this whole section here is the 90s. The 90s and
wow, things were really rising in the 90s.
Exactly. So what we're looking at is a log chart. So it's just a chart that's basically, this is the stock market price for a bunch of stocks. Here it's Microsoft, Cisco, ExxonMobil, General Electric, and Intel. And these were the stocks that outperformed. These were the top-notch blue chip stocks that outperformed basically everything. I mean, there were things that went up faster and crashed and whatever. There were GameStops of the day, but these are the ones where if you wanted safe money, if you wanted guaranteed returns, if you wanted a nice dividend, these were the stocks you went to. And you'll notice how quickly they all went up throughout the 90s, right? So this is a log chart. So in a log chart, when you see something go up in a log chart, it's really exponential. You have to see this as like an exponential curve. But just suffice to say, it's nice to be able to see this. So those were these types of stocks that were about technology and oil and energy and that sort of thing. And the development of computers were the things that out of the internet and into out of the internet and into what will later on be the social media space, these are the companies that outperformed. Now, if we take a look at what happened after that, so after the dot-com crash, and then we had the mortgage crisis, which happened right around the time that social media really started to take off. If we take a look at these companies, these are the Fangman stocks. This is Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Facebook. So these stocks around this period, if you notice, from 2008 on, these are the stocks that are up and to the right. Right? You see that there, Peter?
I see it.
These are the stock prices that if you bought shares at the beginning of this period, regardless of whatever dip you saw, you can see Netflix over here dropped over here. Netflix dropped precipitously from in 2011 all the way down to 2013. Right? See this drop over here?
Yeah,
Right? But it didn't matter, right? If you own this, now you're up 3 times that,
that's right.
right? So if you own, all right, we can get out of this the screen here. If we own the trend, if you understand what the technological trend is that you're in, if you own it, then you will be. Sorry, give me 1 second here. So if you can properly identify the technological trends that are there, it's good for what industries you want to be in, and for your stock portfolio. If you want to make money, you can literally just buy the trend, which is a cross section of multiple legitimate companies within the space, and you could rest assured that over the next 10 years you can quadruple your money. Right? This is better than most retirement plans. Right? So you might go like, okay, there are other competitors to Netflix and other competitors to Facebook and all that. You go like, I don't know which one to pick. Well, you pick the fastest horses. You pick 5 of them that are doing well, 10 of them that are doing well. You divide your money that you want to allocate to all of them, and if one succeeds, you behave like a venture capitalist. One will pay for the failure of all of them. Right? I'm not saying bet the farm. I'm saying this is a great way of riding a trend. And if you're going to work in an industry, it didn't matter if you worked for a competitor of Facebook, right? Because then when Facebook is hiring and your competitor closes, they'll take you because you're part of that
Right.
industry. You already had 2-3 years of experience inside of it. You want to be riding these technological trends because those are the things that are going to be changed in the future and create an opportunity. As a last side note for that technology is really starting to bleed into basically every single domain. Peter, you want to pull up that the amazing product? This is
Sure.
Lululemon Mirror. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. And it's basically Lululemon, the fitness clothing company, bought a company called Mirror, who was making this fitness mirror. So this mirror you put on your wall, it costs like whatever $1,500 to buy. So it's like a luxury item, certainly. And what you see on it is a person. Scroll down a little bit on the page, Peter. You'll see that there's basically a hologram on the screen of someone guiding you through a workout, and it's helping you. It's calculating what calories you're burning. It gives you timers. It allows you it helps to some degree to correct your form. You could even pay like a one-off fees for a fitness a personal trainer to show up on there and teach you. And when this is not the screen is not on, it's just a regular mirror. My God, if this is not living in the sci-fi universe I've been dreaming about ever since I was a teenager, I don't know what is. And it's a short leap and a hop before it goes from this to your medicine cabinet. Every medicine cabinet mirror is going to have this sort of technology. Now, I'm not saying go out there and invest in Lululemon. What I'm saying is that take a look at how technology is pervasive and affecting every industry. So when you think of cryptocurrency, don't think of it as, oh, Tom and Peter are talking about this Bitcoin thing again, because you sound like an old person. All right. Oh, it's like saying, oh, they're talking about this internet thing again. This newfangled pen and paper is where it's at. Do we have to talk about the internet all the time?
In my day,
So
we had books, and that book
like,
was mailed to you over weeks on horseback. Yeah, no, it's weird that it's weird to live in a world where we are privy to understanding this new technology, not in extreme depth, but certainly more than the average person, and then trying to convince other people, hey, you really should, oh, email. Remember back in the day, oh,
yeah,
email,
email exactly.
email. And now if somebody sends you a letter, you're like, what the
What the
hell
hell
is
exactly?
wrong with you?
Well, now it's
If
sort of
I'm
like
talking,
people go their Facebook and their LinkedIn that's their contact thing. They don't have a Rolodex on their desk. They don't have all the things in their phones. They haven't memorized the numbers. They go, if I can't contact you on Facebook, you might as well. What are you talking about?
Don't
And
exist.
people can go, "Oh, I hate Facebook, but I just use it for my contacts." Like I don't use Facebook, but I have it just for my contacts. In the
Yeah.
same way that you had the white pages in your home. I'm not perusing this on Sunday night. It's just like, well, I need to. And if you're not in the white pages, I'm like, okay, well, then it's gonna be a problem. You're gonna have an issue.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't be an old fuddy-duddy. Get on board with it. It's not just like, oh, get rich quick and everybody's. It's not about that. Okay, that's not what crypto's for. Before I let you go, Melissa, she wrote. Mel Hartman wrote. I hadn't put together that the crypto part of cryptocurrency was about encryption. I was thinking about it in the cryptozoology way. I don't know what cryptozoology.
She's a nerd.
There's so much dimension out there. There's so much depth to this topic that you really do want to join our group. You really do want to talk to us. There's a limited amount we can do on video. This takes up a lot of our time. We got family waiting for us and things for us to do. So join the Telegram group. You can ask your question at 3:00 in the morning, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. And we love getting your questions, and it will introduce what we're doing in the show. So if you want to be a part of our token class, founders class, and help sort of guide the conversation, the next conversation could be a jumping off point from a question that you've asked. So there are no stupid questions. There will definitely be no stupid answers. Jumpstart Live is here for you. Before I let you go, Tom, today is the anniversary of George Floyd. And I'm not going to talk about it except to ask you, of all that happened with Black Lives Matter, $90 million raised, all this awareness, all this talk in the news, in the past year, what has changed? What has changed for Black people, right?
Nothing.
Where George Floyd died, deaths are up 171, murders are up 171%, carjackings up 222%.
More
I
people
don't know the
know
strategy.
about Dogecoin than remember the George Floyd.
All I'm saying is I've got Black Money Matters, all right? And I'm putting up my Black Money Matters against Black Lives Matter. Yes, Black lives do matter. But what really matters is the money aspect, not the money itself, but what we value. And money is a representation of what we value. And so if we want anything to change in the world, that's why a lot of people are really in love with cryptocurrencies. They see it as a decentralized way of taking our power back, away from the bankers, away from the traditional systems. Whether that will work or not, I don't know. But they see it that way. Getting our mind right and our habits right around money is very important. Black Money Matters is a sensational thing. It's not meant to fix all the problems. What it's meant to do is to do something sensational to remind us all about how powerful we are. That even $5 in your hand, spent correctly, spent with purpose, can actually yield something fantastic, right? Making a Black millionaire, friggin', we can do that every single week. And I think that
brother.
if at the end of this year we had 52 Black millionaires that we all helped create, it would go a lot further to helping the Black community than Black Lives Matter. Look, I said it. I said it. All right. You can agree with the philosophy without necessarily agreeing with the outcome. All right. That's what I said there. Jumpstart for the Black community. I felt I had to get that in there. Well, look, George Floyd's in heaven. I hope he's doing well. A lot of white people in heaven, I think, though. So who knows? Tom, I had to make a joke. I couldn't help it.
There are no caps there.
They're not caps. All the caps are in hell. All right. Didn't mean for it to go there, but
I love cops there.
Sure, yeah. But they have to be Black cops. Only Black
my brother's
cops.
a cop.
No.
Are you?
All right. Let's not go there. We'll do that in the chat. We'll get to Risque there if you want to join us there. Thank you so much for everybody who participated. Thank you everybody else who's watching, whether you watch this live or after the fact, or whether you commented. Really appreciate it. Head over to youtube.com/happy for a change. Become a subscriber. It really helps us out. Like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, well, send it to somebody you hate. All right. That's our time. My name is Peter Hartman.
I'm Tom Hartman.
And you're watching Jumpstart Live.
Jumpstart Live.
All right, ciao, folks.